Hi, my name is Sky and this is my channel Nettle Books, and today I'm going to be sharing 5 of my thoughts on The Pawn of Prophecy by David Eddings, which is the first instalment of a 5-part fantasy series. In this novel we start out by following a sweet young boy named Garion who is being raised by his Aunt Pol on a farm where she is the cook, and this is like a small farming community. Then one day all of a sudden his life is uprooted and he has to set out on this adventure with his Aunt Pol and a few other party members, some of who he knows and some who he doesn't know, and he is not entirely sure where they are going or why, and that's kind of what we follow in this book. So my first thought in this book is that the novel keeps in with traditional fantasy beginnings. So the prologue focuses on the gods of this world, ages past, and you get that standard fantasy, the world breaking apart, the landscape changing prologue. And then at the start of chapter 1 we are in this small farm environment, a rural setting quite excluded from the world, and the people in this country, they don't really believe in magic and myths, and I feel like that is really in keeping with traditional fantasy, and I do enjoy that when it's done well, as long as it's not done just because of a lack of imagination. I do think that trope was done quite well at the start of this book, but I didn't think it was anything new and amazing. But I did enjoy it. It's always nice to go back to the roots of fantasy and experience that kind of setting again. My second thought in this book is that there is a lot of obvious foreshadowing. And while I do appreciate some foreshadowing in novels, this was just far too much. I feel like every second paragraph, especially for the first half of the book, it was just like every line was foreshadowing something, and it was just kind of annoying. And by the end of the third chapter I had figured out 3 of the major twists because it was just so obvious. I'm no Sherlock Holmes, I usually find it really difficult to figure out the twists, but this was really easy and that kind of annoyed me. I feel like a lot of the time spent foreshadowing in this book could have been spent on things like character development and world building, which I feel like this book did lack. So my third thought in this book is about the character development. While I really did love the main character Garion, he is just a sweet boy, and I like how Garion did not lose his innocence overnight. Like, I think this story takes place over a couple of weeks, and Garion doesn't lose that innocence he has from growing up in a small rural community over the years, just in a flash. And I like that. I feel like he's really sweet and I enjoy that aspect. I also enjoyed the character of Aunt Pol and another character named Silk. I thought they were quite well done, but at the same time I thought there was a lot of other characters in this book who I just didn't feel connected to at all, and I felt like they could have really done with more character development and more time put into them. But this is the first in a series, so I'm hoping to see that in further books. My fourth thought in this book is that the plot and the pacing are quite slow. I feel like the plot isn't that great in its own, it is kind of basic. For the first 3/4 of the book it's not really a page turner, it's kind of slumpish and you just want it to pick up the pace just a little bit. This book does read quite like an introduction, and I do know it is obviously the introduction to a series, but I feel like this book was 260 pages. More of those pages could have been put into giving us a bit more of the story or the characters or the world and less of the foreshadowing, and I feel like the plot was quite empty at times and more could have been added. If this book was standing alone, I wouldn't feel like it was worth reading. It couldn't stand up on its own. There's so many entrances to other fantasy series that are just excellent in themselves, and I feel like this book could have done a bit better. My fifth and final thought in this book is that I did like it, but I didn't think it was amazing or brought anything new to the genre. The ending kind of redeemed this book for me, and the pace picked up, and Eddings set up a few plot hooks to make you want to come back and read the next book. So I will be picking up the second book in the series, The Queen of Sorcery, but I will be judging it a bit more harshly if it doesn't improve or the pace speeds up, because I do understand that this book is an introduction and David Eddings is just getting into the swing of things. I do think this first instalment was quite weak on its own, and I don't think I would recommend it until I had read more of the series and then formed much more of a clear opinion on if it is worth reading further. If you have read The Pawn of Prophecy, or if you have read the entire series or any other of David Eddings' books, please let me know and comment. If you haven't read the series, please let me know if you're thinking of reading it, or if you have any thoughts on anything I said. I would love to hear your opinions. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.